so much again, my good friends. So now we're gonna remove the Jura Matao. But the big thing, my good friends, and somebody did it even after I talked about it. So what we're gonna do, they removed the Jura Matao completely, and then they took off all the cranial nerves with it. No, you don't want to do that. So what you want to do is cut around here like this, make the incision right here like that, where am I pointing. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'll show you how to do it. And then you nick here, you nick this, you cut this, okay, and then you come here and then go bing, 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 and then when you get here, you gotta be careful now. This is where the tentorium cerebelli is. So you want to make a cut here, and I'll show you how to do it. And then you want to make a cut here, and then finish off whatever is left over here. So you're gonna sort of pull it out like that. But you make sure you don't forget to cut this, because if you forget this, you've cut everywhere, and you're trying to pull it remains attached. You could damage something. So you don't want to do that. You understand? So you see what I'm saying, my good friends? So we do that, and then we cut here, and I'll show you how to get in here with your scissors. You kind of have to be at an angle. Sometimes you may use your sharp edge, but you know that's it. You know. So before I forget, I might use my sharp edge a little bit. I might do that because there's not a lot of space. I cut it like that, and I can't forget now because it's done. That's why sometimes at my house, if something has been nagging me and I've been forgetting, if I think of something, I do it right there. Because once I do it, I can't forget it now. You see what I'm saying? So that's the thing. So do you see what I'm doing now? I'm cutting closely. Some students were cutting over here. No, don't do that. Because we just want to make sure that these stay. So we don't want to cut too far from there, okay? You understand? You're doing this. If I have space, I put my blunt end inside so that I'm not damaging my brain. Okay, my good friends. Bing. This one sometimes has a little bone here, which is this is bone. So you want to crap. So you want to be careful that you touch your specimen or your organ so you see what you have. See, if I try to cut through this bone, guess what would have happened? I would have damaged stuff and that stuff. You see what I'm saying? So you want to see, you want to make sure, because I felt it, I was like, oh, this is kind of harder than it is. So there was a little bone. And because the tentorium cerebelli is hard enough by itself without adding bone to it. You understand? So yeah. So remember I said I'm going to use my sharp end here just to gain access because it's not a lot of space here. You understand? So there's that. So, and I'm going to kind of go like this at an angle. Okay. This is hard, like I said. And then you give it a little test. Do you see? It's still stuck somewhere. So when you do that, because sometimes you're not able to see what is stuck, don't be like, whatever, I'm just going to yank it. No, go ahead and cut it. Don't be patient about it, because then if you do it properly, you don't have to worry about it. You see, like here, I could see there's still a little bit stuck here. You see there? So I'm going to do that. Voila, I'm all golden. Then I go to this other side and I start again, just doing nice and easy. You don't have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? And then it's a good thing right here by the olfactory bulbs. I could do that. You see what I'm saying? And I'm doing that. I'm cutting. Oh, do you hear that, my good friends? So now I gotta go back to my sharp end again. Oh Lord, that was so good. Okay. Bing. So did you see the patience that comes with this? You gotta be real patient about it. You can't be like, so there's gonna be something that's stuck in here. And then I do this, I peel it like a banana. Bing. Do you see how nice and easy it is? And then boom, voila. Oh my God, look at here, my good friends. Did I tell you that? You see how this looks like it's cupping like that? So this is the tentorium cerebelli, the cranial jural septa or cranial jural fold separating the cerebrum from the cerebellum. You see what I'm saying? They're both too mushy, kind of sort of course, the brain is mushy, so this is the toughest. So that's why when you're cutting through this, you want to be careful, and you can't are cutting like this. Did you see I didn't go like this? Because then it's too wide. You don't have space. So you kind of have to kind of do like that. Maybe you should use your sharp end, but be careful because you don't want to damage the brain, but you're kind of going at like a angle like this. So you can fit in, because there's not a lot of space, as you can see. You see what I'm saying? Like that. Did you see? So, and I cut it nicely, and it's all golden, like that. And then, obviously, this is the falx cerebri, which is the one that goes along with cerebral fissure. Okay? And then the falx cerebelli over here, separating the vermis from the cerebellar hemispheres. You see what I'm saying? So you could see the cranial folds here. You only see this dura mater because it's the dense irregular connective tissue. The other ones are kind of sort of more delicate. You don't see those, okay? Doesn't mean they're not there, but you know what I'm saying? So they're stuck on there, the dura mater. Okay, very good. So now here comes the fun part. Bing. Okay, my good friends. I forgot my lube. Yeah. My video is running. So I'm gonna get some beakers. I think I have some beakers here. They took them off. Oh my god. So this is my glycerin that I use to lubricate the knife and so forth. My good friend, look at my knife. You get yours over this. And I was saying yesterday to my other class, this reminds me of Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? I'm unsheathing my sword. You guys don't watch Game of Thrones? Because yesterday the class was so excited about Game of Thrones because some of them watch it. You guys, I guess you don't watch it. Okay, very good. Okay, so anyway, so you wanna loop the knife and you wanna loop this, and then when you're cutting, making the incision, you wanna be like this. Make sure it's vertical. So if it's like this, the cut is not gonna go in the center, and then you can't see those structures I was talking about. You wanna be so. Hopefully I get lucky, and you go like this, and make sure it's vertical so that your knife is gonna be like bing, and then you just slide it through in one kind of cut. So you'll be starting from the top here, and then you're sliding back and putting a little bit of pressure because the knives are very sharp already. You understand? So you don't wanna be doing this like you're cutting bread. No, because then you're damaging the nuclei in there, and then you want to see. You see what I'm saying? So you want one being. That's why we lubricate our knife. We lubricate everything. You understand? Very good. I was supposed to put it in the big. I forgot because I'm using the big bottle, and I'm gonna go get some beakers for you guys so you can empty it. Okay? Last time I put too much, it was tripping. Crap. So we do that. Be careful now when you're doing this because the knives are sharp. To the other side. Yes. And he made nice thick glycerin which really lubricates nicely, you know what I'm saying? Very good. Because we don't want it to be stuck to ruin our activities. And then I put someone here too, so just for good measure, you know what I mean? Last time I ended up pouring. If it's a bigger, it's better because it's got a little pointy end on it. Oh, I did good. Did you see what I did? I put it right on the crack. And nice. Okay, very good. So here comes the interesting part. So I just want to make sure that my thing is nice and vertical like this. And if I put my knife over here like this, and then I make an incision. I did good. You guys are not excited as I am. I should come and tickle you. Okay, my good friends, you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I want to see is a little bit of pineal gland on one side, a little bit of pineal gland on the other side. But this time, my, you know, that choroid plexus I talked about, sometimes it gets in your cut, like over here. It did get into my cut. And you see what I'm saying? And it was in the cerebral aqueduct. I don't know how it kind of escaped. Do you see the cerebral aqueduct is kind of smooth, shows that liquid is flowing through there. Do you see that? Or is it just me? Right here on this. Do you see that? Let's zoom in. You see that? You see what I'm saying? So this is the choroid plexus that I was talking about. So, some reason it went into the cerebral aqueduct. Did you see it was over covering it. But my cut, because I looked it real good, you see how shiny and glistening it is, it really didn't affect my cut. You see what I'm saying? Very good. Okay, very good. So hopefully one of you gets a good brain, and then we see that too, and then you know what I'm saying? You see? So there's the deal. So this is the pineal gland, right? And this is the pineal gland on that side. Okay? And this one is a kind of pale, but you can still see this would be the inferior colliculus. The one I said you could call corpora quadrigemina. You understand? Okay, and on top of it is the superior colliculus. So that's part of the midbrain, the tectum or the tectal plate, okay, which again is made of two superior colliculi that deal with visual reflexes and two inferior colliculi that deal with hearing reflexes. We did all that, so you guys know about that, because that was in the lecture. You understand? Okay, but I said, you know, both the two superior colliculi and the two inferior colliculi form corpora quadrigemina, four things. Okay, but I said the inferior colliculus, you could also call it corpora. I'll take that answer as well. Okay, and you'll see the labels as well like that. So the pineal gland or pineal body, the superior colliculus, and the inferior colliculus, or corpora quadrigemina, the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, and this here kind of got damaged a little bit, but this vertical sort of line is the posterior commissure. Okay, the posterior commissure. Let's see if we can see our anterior commissure. For some reason, you see how this brain got a little bit mushed up. It's supposed to be somewhere here. Oh, do you see how? You see what happened? I don't know what happened to this brain. Some structures were disintegrating, where we would have. So this dot here, do you see this dot? I don't know if it's just me. This will be the anterior colliculus. This, do you see it? Because the major part is this one, which is the corpus callosum. Okay, do you see that on the top? You can use the board as well to cheat, and you can answer that. And then that's how you learn it too, my good friends. Do you see that? See this little dot? That's the anterior commissure. And this squiggle here from the, this is the pituitary gland. This squiggle is the inferior colliculus. Oh, crap. The posterior commissure, I apologize. Do you understand, my good friend? So, corpus callosum, and this little dot here would be the anterior commissure, and then on the bottom is the fornix. The bottom is the fornix. You understand? Do you see part of the septum pellucidum? It's mostly on this side. Remember I told you, when you cut it, no matter how central you are, it's gonna go to the one side. See, this ventricle is all closed up. So, like I said again, if I put a pin pointing to this area here, and I'm like, what is that structure that separates the chambers of the brain? You would say septum pellucidum. The arrow is in the same place, and I'm like, what is that fluid-filled chamber? You would say lateral ventricle. Is that cool, my good friends? Do you see what I'm saying? So this exam, you really have to read the question twice before you formulate an answer, because sometimes the arrow may be pointing somewhere and you say, oh, I know it, it's the septum pellucidum, but I'm asking for the fluid-filled chamber, so it will be wrong. You understand? So don't assume that, oh, I'm looking for this. Really read the question and answer. And the questions are going to be your friends in this exam, because the questions are going to be describing what I'm asking you. You understand? So the question is actually not your enemy, it's your friend, because it's pointing you to the answer. So don't be hating on the questions, be loving them, because they're giving you necessary information for you to get to the right answer. Okay? Again, superior colliculus, actually this side is a little bit better than this side. Okay, because this side I can see the posterior commissure is coming from the pineal gland, and then this is the inferior colliculus, which you can also corpora quadrigemina. Okay, and then this is the cerebral aqueduct. Do you see how nice and smooth it is? It looks like a groove too, doesn't it? It's connecting this third ventricle to the fourth ventricle. Do you see the fourth ventricle here? Do you understand, my good friends? So fourth ventricle. So if I point here and I'm like, what's that fluid-filled chamber? You'd say fourth ventricle. If I point just in front of the thalamus and I'm like, what's that fluid-filled chamber? You say third ventricle. Okay, and then over here, if I point and I say, what's that fluid-filled chamber? I'm not even gonna say cerebrospinal fluid because that would be too easy. That would give it away for you guys. I'll be just like, what's that fluid-filled chamber of the brain? And then you say, here, lateral ventricles. The structure is the septum pellucidum. Okay, and then the corpus callosum, and then the fornix. You understand? And in this secular one, you can't miss it a mile away. The secular one is the thalamus. Remember the thalamus, the relay center of the. Isn't it the diagram looks just like this real thing I was saying yesterday? My diagram over there. You see what I'm saying? It's a good estimator of the positions, and that's exactly how it looks in the actual brain. You understand? So, so thalamus, and then underneath the thalamus would be the hypothalamus, and you could see the optic chiasm here. Do you see what I'm saying? Optic chiasm, and then this is the pituitary. You see what I'm saying? And then the infundibulum here. Oh, this one really shows nicely. Do you see that? Do you see the pituitary gland? Okay. So yeah. So very good here. Okay, my good friends. And then this is the pons, and this is the cerebral peduncle. Okay. All right. And of course, this is the midbrain, the superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, and then this is the cerebral aqueduct, which runs through the midbrain. My thing is tired because I worked my shoulders today. Okay, so this would be the cerebral aqueduct, fourth ventricle, third ventricle, lateral ventricle, right? You can see the apovitae arrangement. Do you see? Doesn't it look like branches of a tree? You see, you can't miss it a mile away. Very good. You see what I'm saying? So that's it right there. And I didn't forget an optic chiasm, fornix, corpus callosum, and then the lateral ventricle here, and then the septum pellucidum is on this side. You understand? And then of course the thalamus, hypothalamus, pineal gland, posterior commissure, anterior commissure. So this little dot here, and then this is the inferior colliculus or corporal quadrigemina if you like, but the real name is inferior colliculus, and then the superior colliculus. Remember the superior colliculus is a bit pinkish like that, yeah, and then of course the cerebral aqueduct. Okay, my good friend, you can switch it off. I want